Greetings folks, welcome back to my little corner of the library. Today we're just doing a little supplemental episode, sort of bonus content if you will. This is in conjunction with the episode that we'd previously done on the work Lost Horizon by James Hilton. I just wanted to talk a little bit more real quick just about his story Goodbye Mr.Chips, which helped to promote the success of Lost Horizon when it was published in 1934, just because there's an interesting story behind Goodbye Mr.Chips. It's not really lengthy, so I just wanted to do a quick video about that. Now, it all started in the autumn of 1933. Lost Horizon had not yet been published, but Hilton had put out a few novels at that point, as well as writing many newspaper articles and columns and book reviews. So he was a fairly well-known literary figure, even if he wasn't yet a household name. He was commissioned by a long-standing prestigious publication, British Weekly, to pen a 3,000-word article for what would be their Christmas issue. For this work, he was to be paid the sum of 30 guineas, not an insubstantial amount of money in those days for such a seemingly small amount of work. The only problem with this particular commission is that he had to write this 3,000-word article in 2 weeks and submit it to the editor. Hilton himself would later write about the experience. "A whole week out of my precious 2 was spent in a blue funk, thinking I just could not go on with the job. I had no ideas, no plot, no anything. Then, one foggy winter morning, I got out my bicycle and determined to run away from my hag-ridden self. I was enjoying the keen air and exercise when suddenly an idea bopped up in my head, and I saw my whole story in a flash. I rode back home as hard as I could, and in 4 days I had banged out the whole thing. That was Goodbye Mr. Chips." Hilton submitted it to the magazine, and while they really did like the story, there was only one problem. They had asked him to write a 3,000-word article, and he had given them an 18,000-word story. The editor of the magazine was somewhat embarrassed by this, but he felt that the story was so good, he was so impressed with the writing, that they decided to go through with it anyway. And it was published in December of 1933. It would be published across the pond in the States in Atlantic Monthly later that year. Book publication would follow in June of 1934 in America and October of 1934 in Great Britain. Goodbye Mr. Chips would tell the story of Mr. Chipping, a benevolent, kind, and yet entertaining instructor at a young boys' school. Hilton would draw much influence from his own instructor at the Leys Academy, where he attended from 1914 to 1918, ages 15 to 18, W.H. Balgarnie. He would later write, "Balgarnie was, I suppose, the chief model for my story, so far as I had one. Certainly, in my school life, he was a personality I have never forgotten." Goodbye Mr. Chips would later be immortalized in the highly popular classic Goodbye Mr. Chips, starring Robert Donat as Mr. Chipping. Hilton himself was very fond of this cinematic version. On the heels of the popularity of Goodbye Mr. Chips, as well as Hilton's winning of the Hawthornden Prize for Lost Horizon, both happening in 1934, Hilton's popularity would skyrocket, ultimately becoming a household name and a Hollywood writer. Well, that's all we've got for you this time. Like I said, just a quick bonus video. I do hope you enjoyed it. Be sure, as always, to hit that like button on your way out, also the subscribe button to stay up to date on all of our latest episodes. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.